Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. In the decade immediately following the American Civil War, every U.S. president was tasked with the tall order of reunifying the country that had been practically ripped in half. Historians refer to this time period as Reconstruction, where the United States attempted to rebuild and reconstruct after the devastating Civil War. In this segment, let's explore the man who presided over the unofficial end of the Reconstruction period as the nation was being taken up in the wave of the Second Industrial Revolution. He was the 19th President of the United States, Rutherford B. Hayes. Hayes was born in 1822, and like many late 19th century Republicans, he began his political career in the Whig Party, and like many other 19th century Republicans, he was a veteran of the Union Army during the Civil War. He had served in a Cincinnati regiment, and during the war, his popularity grew so much that he was elected to politics while still serving in action. He agreed to serve, but not until after the war was over. So Hayes became governor of Ohio after the war, and he would run for the presidency in 1876. 100 years after the founding of the nation and 11 years after its rebirth, Hayes ran on the most hotly contested election in the nation's history. He lost the popular vote to the New York Democrat Senator Samuel J. Tilden, but in a congressional committee decision, Hayes won the final popular vote along party lines, winning the election with 185 electoral votes to Tilden's 184. Hayes was a controversial president. Under his presidency, Union soldiers were removed from former Confederate citadels, spelling a historical end to the period of Reconstruction. Now, this had a drawback, as many former Confederate cities then were enabled to cultivate Jim Crow laws in place of the former practice of slavery. Hayes also notoriously chose several questionable cabinet members, including a former Confederate soldier. Overall, Hayes did not accomplish anything of grand notoriety during his time in office. He notably only intended to serve one term, which ended in 1881. During the last decade of his life, Hayes endeavored in initiatives that did support the education of Black Americans, and he outlived his wife Lucy by 3 years before dying at the age of 70 in 1893. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.